Hey everyone, welcome back to the YouTube channel. My name is Mickey. Today we're going to talk about something so hot, so spicy, so ingrained in our culture today that every news outlet, every YouTube video is frothy with this topic. That topic is cryptocurrency, that topic is blockchain, and in this video, I'm going to tell you how it's going to affect your distribution company over the next 10 years. Now, if you can prepare for these things, even anticipate these things, there is a tremendous opportunity for you to make a life-changing amount of money. So in this video, I'm going to talk about 5 ways that blockchain and crypto are going to disrupt the distribution game. Anyways, let's get right into it. Number 1, putting Bitcoin on your balance sheet. Most distributors aren't even thinking about this, yet you have companies like Tesla, PayPal, MicroStrategy. Okay, all these companies are buying hordes of Bitcoin with their company's treasury and putting that Bitcoin right into their balance sheet. Now, to put something on your balance sheet means that your company is the owner of that asset, and as the asset goes up, your shareholder equity, the worth of your total company increases. And the beauty of Bitcoin is that over its last 11 years, it's averaged an average gain of 200% per year. Now, even though it's wildly volatile, if you hold it long enough, it tends to outperform just about any other asset in existence. So, as a distributor, what you could consider doing is plugging some Bitcoin into your balance sheet, because I can promise you, your competitors are not doing this. Your competitors aren't even thinking about generating a 200% return on their cash. Instead, they're thinking about, how can I stick a bunch of money and a bunch of inventory in a warehouse that's going to get there, it's going to get stale, it's going to go bad, and I'm going to have to throw it away. It's just an accounting nightmare to invest good money after bad money. And I think that instead of going after some of these risks to try to make a minuscule little profit, which is a huge risk because you're putting in all this money and that product could be good for nothing. Instead of doing that, take a more calculated risk like these big corporations. Buy a little bit of Bitcoin instead of buying that pallet of ice cream, okay? And put that little bit of Bitcoin on your balance sheet. Now, again, this is not financial advice, solely for entertainment purposes only, but it's just food for thought. You have an asset over here performing at 200% on average per year, and then you have the goods in your warehouse, which are generating you 10% gross profit margin, then 3 to 4% net profit margin. So again, that's the first way that distributors are going to benefit from crypto, from blockchain, taking Bitcoin and plugging it into their balance sheet. Number 2, blockchain itself is going to disrupt the way that payables and receivables work. So for those of you that don't know, a blockchain, okay, is a system in which there is a series of contracts, okay, that record transactions on what I consider to be like a general ledger. And this general ledger is distributed amongst many computers or many servers on a network to strengthen the network. Now, I'm not too technical, but what I understand is that blockchain is going to allow you to exchange value across one person to the other with no friction. It's a frictionless way to exchange value on this network. Okay, and because this network is decentralized across many servers, across many computers, no single government can break it down. So what are people doing with these networks? They're creating monetary systems that facilitate payments, that facilitate payables and receivables. So I imagine a world where all vendors and all customers will be able to upload their invoices and their bills onto one of these blockchains and program them against a smart contract that says, look, at the due date of this invoice, transact the money instantaneously. And because it's just a network on the internet, the transactions are instantaneous and they settle on the spot. But you may be asking yourself, Mickey, how the heck am I going to convince my customers to do this? How am I going to convince them to put up their cash when right now they pay me 45 days after the invoice is due because they don't care, because they know there's no repercussions from paying me late? Well, I'm glad you asked. What they're going to do is extremely fascinating. They are going to incentivize the customer by eliminating all transaction fees. They're going to incentivize the customer by paying them a reward of some kind to keep their account funded to pay these invoices. The way other cryptos and other blockchains are doing it is they're doing this with interest of a particular token. So I imagine a world where all customers will put their money in anticipation of having to pay some invoices, and they'll get paid interest on that money. That way they'll keep their accounts funded. The day that the invoice comes due, the value will be initiated and transacted across this frictionless network, and people will get paid instantaneous. Guess what that means? No more late invoices, no more not getting paid, no more problems trying to do payables and receivables with 18 employees at your company. I believe that's the second way that blockchain is absolutely going to disrupt the distribution game. The third way that blockchain is going to disrupt distribution is with inventory. So as I mentioned before in point number 2, there's probably a bunch of inventory sitting in your warehouse. It's just stale, that it doesn't rotate, and you're waiting for the right customer to come up and buy it from you. Now the issue is that's cash that's tied up, and because the amount of inventory is likely not sufficient enough to warrant you going to take out a loan on it, it's just sitting there and it's just going bad. What if you could essentially receive a loan for that inventory and through a smart contract on one of these blockchains pay a little bit of interest? Imagine if you had $1 million of product that's not going to rotate extremely quickly in your warehouse. You could essentially get an instant loan against that product. You can transact with that money, and then you can pay a little bit of interest, okay, to the person purveying that loan to you, okay, through a smart contract, through a system. That means that you could in a frictionless way exchange the value in your warehouse for anything else. Essentially, I can open up an iPhone app and say, I want to sell 3 pallets of these chips, okay, or I want to loan out 3 pallets of these chips. Somebody will give you that loan. You'll start paying interest. I don't know what that interest rate will be, and then you could go to anywhere that you can use a wallet and exchange those funds for food or coffee, or if you want to go buy a car, and essentially you could gain liquidity to the money that's tied up in your warehouse. Now I know this is really abstract, but think about a world where you're not bound by the limits of gravity with money, where you don't have to deposit a check to be able to spend the money, where you can literally dematerialize something physical, make it on a network instantaneously, and then be able to exchange the value of that thing with another party seamlessly. That's what these blockchains are going to do, and that's what's going to happen in inventory. Most distributors will be able to provide liquidity to their inventory, use that liquidity to invest in their business or buy things, and eventually pay a little bit of interest. All of that will be controlled through the blockchain, through smart contracts with no central parties, and that is the third way that distributors will benefit from this technology. The fourth way that distributors will benefit from this technology is that with crypto, you're able to issue shares of your company, i.e. coins of your company, to your shareholders, to users of your platform or your business, to your partners. So what if you could take your business that does 10 million a year and you could IPO that business on your own and get little shares of it? People would then buy and exchange the shares of your business, and they would own a piece of your profits without you having to go through the process of going public. I think this is where the world is going. I think we're going to live in a world where companies won't go public anymore, because all markets will be created in a decentralized world, in a decentralized exchange, and you could literally make a market of anything, whether it's your business, whether it's a piece of art hanging on your wall, whether it's a collectible that you own. You'll be able to dematerialize that physical thing into one of these tokens and then exchange the value of that token for money or for other goods and services. So what's going to happen is, if you're a distributor, you will have the opportunity to take your company public without selling it off, without merging with somebody, without getting acquired, and you'll be able to extract some of that value that you have tied up into your business. The fifth and perhaps most interesting way that blockchain is going to disrupt the distribution game is with picking and shipping. So a lot of these really big blockchains, they're creating infrastructures to do lot traceability. They're creating infrastructure to track an order as it comes into a system, to track when a product got picked, where it got picked from, and where that product is going to, all on a public blockchain. Which means that anybody could report against this blockchain and see exactly the whereabouts of anything on your network, which is amazing. Let me give you an example. Let's say that you produce vitamins, okay? And you want to be able to trace the raw material of that vitamin all the way to its finished good, all the way to the end consumer. Imagine if the entire world tied into a central blockchain, and every time the vitamin, okay, was transacted from one party to the other, it was recorded on this public blockchain. I imagine a world where every system in the world will be tied to one of these public blockchains. The product will get produced, that lot number will get tracked on the blockchain, then the product will get packaged. That date in which it was packaged and delivered to its end customer will also be put on the blockchain. And last but not least, when the product gets scanned out of the register or when it gets delivered to the end consumer, it will also be published on the blockchain. That is what we call perfect traceability of what you pick and pack and produce, which is insane. Think about the power of this. Think about being able to know at any point in time where any product is in the world. Just the data available that you'll be able to aggregate based on that collected data is going to be immense. So I imagine this world coming in the next 10 years. And I imagine these 5 things coming into play. And right now they may seem a little abstract, but I wanted to share some potential use cases for your industry, the distribution world, because I've been really thinking about how we can take this lace-up idea and incorporate it into blockchain, incorporate it into crypto, because we need to embrace the new technologies. We shouldn't shun them away. You know, in 1998, everyone thought Amazon was crazy. Everyone thought eBay was crazy. Everyone thought these platforms were here as a fad and that they would disappear. But eventually, they absolutely exploded. They took over the world. And now our lives completely depend on these platforms. That is exactly what's going to happen with blockchain. So anyways, I hope that you enjoyed this video. Look, if you did, give me a big thumbs up. Subscribe down below. If you didn't, comment. Tell me what you disagree with, what you agree with on this video, and tell me if you have any additional thoughts. Either way, I hope that you have a great day. Take care.